Right, hello and welcome to another pod. Today it's me, Ed One, and I'll be presenting it today as Ed Treble Six is unable to make it as he's busy feeding his crack addiction. And no, I'm not talking about drugs. Deeps, wash your mind out even with soap and water. It's not what you're thinking either. Obviously, I meant he's taking a trip to the Grand Canyon, the only canyon bigger than my ex's mouth. Sadly, without the old devil, we have to make do with Billy, who remembers the day he started digging the Grand Canyon like it was yesterday, and Deeps, who thought he was taking part in an online edition of Blind Date and fancied his chances competing against myself and Billy. He was hoping that this would be the first Valentine's Day that he got a card from someone other than his mother. How are you both?
I'm good, thanks, Trish.
You got any plans?
I'm fine as well, mate.
You got any plans to take your missus out for Valentine's Day, Bill? You know, anywhere nice.
There's no way to go.
I know. It's great, isn't
We're taking a garden, yeah.
Save you a fortune this year. You can't do anything. It's such a shame.
No. Don't know what my girlfriend's going to say.
But at least you could just tell the missus, I'd booked you this restaurant, the best you'd ever see. But sadly. What about
Just
you,
blame
Deeps?
China.
What are your plans for
Blame
it?
China.
You going to China?
No. I'm telling you, this terror is China's fault.
Yeah, it is China's fault, yeah.
Well, that ruined the gag then. Very good. Well done, Deeps. Nice one. Thanks, mate. Now remind me not to actually, if you are on an edition of Blind Date, I think I'd fancy your chances of beating you. I tell you what, if that's your comedic value you bring to the programme. Oh my god, that's great. Started off with a bit of controversy, hey mate? Well done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we'll have the Chinese having us banned in the country now. The site will be shut down and everything. Oh God! See, I told you. Who's just signed in and wants an invite?
Yeah, of course.
What did I say? I said he'd sign in and want an invite. As soon as we guess who's just turned out live from the Grand Canyon.
Farmer Giles.
Yeah, exactly. He
But
wants a bloody invite and I pain in the ass he is. One of these days he'll just figure out how to come in, won't he?
Yeah.
Even Billy has figured it. Even Billy has figured how to come in without an invite.
I know, but you got to remember he's more intelligent than Abid. Bless him. It's a good job we weren't talking about you, mate. Oh yes, we were.
What you bitches doing?
We're talking about you. We've already started.
Oh, cool.
I was just telling everyone how you're live from the Grand Canyon.
I'm just here so you don't butcher the podcast for a minute.
Yeah, and we know
moderating for 2 minutes so you don't mess it all up.
How's your crack addiction going?
How's your cock addiction going?
Hey, that's just chickens, mate, not cocks. Just I don't
I'm here so you
male
don't
or female.
I'm only here so Billy and Deeps don't destroy Klopp and Liverpool, so crack on, guys.
All right.
No, I've already told them we're not discussing anything Liverpool related this week. It's banned.
True.
Yeah,
Good man after my own heart. How you doing, guys?
Well, I'm good, thanks, Abid. Yourself?
Good to hear it, Billy. Yeah, very good, thanks. Deeps, how are you?
I'm fine, mate.
Good, man. Your voice has got higher over the weeks. What's going on?
Sex change.
Yeah. Maybe it's breaking at last. Is it breaking at last, Deeps? Are your balls dropping?
No.
Puberty's a fun age, Deeps. You'll enjoy it. You'll be discovering all sorts soon.
Oh, we don't need to go there, mate. There might be children listening.
All right, okay, mate.
I doubt it, because there'll be no bugger listening, but you never know.
Where are you at, guys?
We were just we were just starting. That was it. We'd just done the intro when you came on. I was like, I said just before we. No, it's fine. I said just before we started. You know, who's going to sign in the minute we get going. So anyway, we were just talking about what we're doing for Valentine's Day. Deeps was looking for someone to take out on Valentine's Day, and I was thinking your missus won't be doing anything, will she?
She'll be watching me watch a football, yeah.
Well, there you go, Deeps. There's your date sorted there.
Deeps, come round. 3 is in the crowd.
Not when you are around.
Deeps, don't be shy.
Sharing is caring.
Will you two? What was I going to say? So, what you on to Valentine's presents?
Yeah, what are you getting your bed, Abbott?
We're going up to my mother-in-law's, mate. That's present enough.
Oh,
right, it is, yeah.
Oh, that's
what about you, Billy?
I might stay in. I'm thinking of staying in this month.
Oh, she's going to get her annual 3 seconds of loving, is she?
Is she? No.
No, that was foreplay included and a cigarette, Billy.
Christ, no, it takes him an hour and a half to put out a cigarette. We've just been through that.
What, it takes him an hour and a half to put up what?
Put out a cigarette. We were waiting for him to start, and we're like, what the hell's going on? And he comes back, he says, I was just putting out a cigarette. It was... We thought he was trashing the place.
Well, we know Tristan. We know what Tristan's Valentine's Day's looking like. Like most of his other days.
Like every other Valentine's, yeah.
Yeah, and every other day of the week, yeah. Are we gonna? So, what football talk are we talking?
Right. Well, we were just about to start with the. Well, we thought we'd start with the FA Cup, the game last night.
Didn't watch it. Go on.
What a game it was! Was it game of the century or what? The mighty Everton against Spurs. Wonderful Spurs side, by the way. Very attractive football.
Nobody said that, mate.
But on the night, he was second best. Because Tom Davis ran the show yesterday for Everton.
Yeah, that's what he's going to get for the Valentine's Day. A big size poster of Tom Davis.
Hey, yeah, no, that's not a bad idea. Could get that on the
No, they're
CD.
very good. They were very good, Everton, yesterday, and it was a really good game, 5-4, end-to-end stuff, real great entertainment. Imagine what it would have been like if there was a big crowd in there. It would have been fantastic. But it was still one of the best games we've seen this season, I think, entertainment-wise.
Yeah, but Bill, to be fair, it was you against Spurs, so you wouldn't have got a big crowd, even if they'd been in, even if everyone was allowed in.
You're joking, aren't you? Oh, Merseyside would have been there.
Oh, Merseyside, my ass. You can only fit 10,000 that can actually watch. The rest of them have to hide behind pillars in Woodison.
We'll be winning at our new ground.
If it ever appears. We all know how you got that. We all know how you got that. A few backhanders from the mayor. It's funny he's got. Is he in jail yet? Is he in jail for that one yet?
What did Billy say? It's all conjecture.
All conjecture until it's proven in court next week.
Yeah, it's all conjecture until somebody gets 35 years to life. Oh, that's so funny. It's all conjecture.
It is conjecture. No,
just deny, Billy.
If he gets proven guilty, good luck.
You mean when?
Nothing proven. Anyway, we are digressing. What about the team yesterday? Did we all watch the game?
Well,
I didn't, Billy, no.
The highlights.
I've already told you I tried to watch it. I went to bed to watch it because I was knackered last night. And I sat down, and every time I woke up, there was another 4 goals had gone in. I was getting really annoyed with myself. Just couldn't stay
You
awake.
missed a feast. You missed an absolute treat for the eyes.
Well, what I saw was good.
Really good. Yeah, it was a really good cup tie, to be fair. And Spurs played their part as well. But I said it the other week about Hugo Lloris. He's a poor keeper. He really is a poor keeper.
Well, you've got to be to let him 5 goals against Everton, to be fair.
Yeah, well, I'd say 3 of them were his fault.
Really?
I really would.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 of them were definitely his fault.
He's playing like Allison at the moment now.
Yeah, no, not that bad, but pretty bad.
Why do we have him on here? Remind me again, why do we have him on here, Ahmed? Whose idea was it to bring him in? That's treble
Allison.
Yeah.
Did he just compare Allison to Lloris?
I know.
Yeah.
Lloris
Not
wins.
the same.
Once won the World Cup.
How could you not choke on that? How could you not choke on them
And
words?
of all the people, though, to have a go at dodgy keepers, it's the Everton editor. I mean, come on, you've got 2 of the dodgiest keepers in the world right now.
You're only as good as your last game, that's what they say.
True, and you only let him 4 goals.
Yeah, so it can't be that bad, yeah.
Yeah.
7
Life's good.
7 within a week. 7 goals within a week, actually.
Yeah. 3-3 against, with the entertainers, with the absolute entertainers of world football.
You should cue the entertainers' music now, Billy.
Yeah, where's the music board? Come on, who's got the music? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. You like the budget extends to a music board. You're lucky Discord is free, mate.
Yeah, I saw one of those boards on offer the other day, and I thought, I saw it was on sale, and I thought, I might pick that up if it's cheap enough. Then I saw the price of it.
No,
it's not cheap enough. It's still money.
What you thought is, that'd make a good Valentine's present one day. If I get a girlfriend, I'll get that.
No, I've never ever thought that. That'll never happen, mate.
What about the other games? Did anyone watch any of the other games? Leicester was an awful game against Brighton. They snuck through with a goal in the last minute.
Yeah, literally
in
the
all
last
seriousness,
minute.
lads. Sorry, Bill, to interject. In all seriousness,
Go on, mate.
did the FA Cup lose its luster for you guys pre-pandemic? I mean, in the 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Or has it lost even more luster during the pandemic? Because the FA Cup games just didn't interest me at all. I mean, I know the FA Cup hasn't been my cup of tea for a while now, but especially during the pandemic, they've just lost all kind of
It's the lack
excitement.
of crowd. That's what makes the FA Cup such a big thing, is the crowd, the atmosphere. And without it, it's awful.
I'd agree with that, Trish. But to be fair, what Abid said is right. It's been going downhill for a long time now, the FA Cup.
Why, Billy? Why? Why has it been going downhill? Because I can't...
Because everything's based around European now. Everything's qualifying for European.
Get it right, because we haven't won it. It's crap. Let's just get this sorted. We haven't won it. Anything that we haven't won is not worth winning. That's how I.
I mean, growing up, I remember FA Cup day, final day was one of the and FA Cup final day was one of the biggest days of the sporting year. I'd remember watching it on ITV and watching or BBC and watching the camera. You know, when you go with the team and the team coach and everything, it was a proper build-up.
Yeah, you get up in the morning and you turn on the TV, and that was all you do all day. Watch the
exactly.
But there was no TV when Abid was going to the games.
We're talking about it was 1950s.
You're going to say there wasn't a TV in Kathmandu, I couldn't watch it.
There was all the build-up, wasn't it, from Wembley Way and following the coaches out to the hotels and speaking with the crowd and all, and it was a full day. Whereas now it's certainly been in the background for a number of years now. It's still an important trophy.
Well, what about in Nepal, Deeps? Was it the same big build-up
question,
there, or was it like because I know it's like the biggest domestic cup competition in the world, isn't it? It's the one that's most shown around the world. So what was it like there in Nepal when you were growing up? Was it like a big thing when the FA Cup final was on?
When I was growing up would be, let's say, like 10, 15 years ago. Like like Abid said, I don't think it's just a recent thing of 2 3 years. Mostly after I would say 2005 6 when big billionaires started coming into the game. I think the Champions League became more and more important, and I think that is one of the reason. And I think the other reason is also because of having more games in the Wembley Stadium. Like you don't have to reach the finals to keep
Yeah,
playing at
Good
Wembley. I
point.
think that is also
Good
one of the
point.
reason why the
Yeah.
See,
signing
I think it means
not
more
price,
to the
yeah.
supporters than what it does the clubs.
yeah,
To be honest with
definitely.
you, it's a day out for the supporters. The trip down to Wembley and all that involves on the train or on the coach or drive down there and making the day of it, making the weekend of it. Whereas now, clubs don't take it that seriously. You find a lot of them putting scratch sides out in the FA Cup because
Yeah,
it's not that
yeah.
important. And it's a bit of a shame because it is the oldest and the best cup competition in the world, I'd say.
Yeah, you're right. But Deeps, did you, when you were growing up in Nepal, just piggybacking on what Tristan said, did you feel the significance of the FA Cup, or was it just the Premiership and Champions League that was notable in Nepal?
Actually, it was the World Cup. If I to be
Okay,
honest,
gotcha. All right.
that was the main thing.
That kind
Premier
of
League,
trip.
yeah, Premier
That,
League is big. It has always been a money making machine, but even Premier League has only grown in its popularity in the past 10 to 15 years. Along with, like I said, although we most of us kind of have already grown tired of this transfer window thing and everything, but because of introduction of transfer windows, introduction of more European competitions and everything, slowly even the broadcasters got more and more games to show and also more and more points to talk about throughout the week. So cup competitions are they're for me from my experience from my own time growing up as a football fan. FA Cup and other cup competitions, they've never been that big of a deal. It's more of a if you are in it, you want to win it. It's not any kind of disappointment if you don't get anywhere.
Would you sooner your team won the FA Cup or qualified in the top four? How would
Top
you
four, that is
top
the
four
issue.
in the FA Cup? So that's a sad indictment, I think, on
yeah, that just
all
illustrates our
competitions
point.
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it does.
Or
It
let's
really
say
does.
like Billy, let's give it another twist. Would you rather win the FA Cup and finish fifth, or would you rather win the Europa League and finish fifth? Most of us would take the Europa League because it gives us a path to the Champions League.
Good
Yeah,
point.
Again, going back to the European competition and more money.
I can see that. And it depends, I suppose, what your aspirations are and where you actually live in the world. You see, it's still a big competition here. I know it's not as big as it was, but it's still a big competition, especially for the supporters in England. But
Still,
it
what I'm
probably
saying is,
isn't throughout the world.
but my point with FA Cup or Europa League is one is going to get you the sack and another is going to give you another year in the job, like it happened with Louis van Gaal, for example,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, I can
Mourinho.
see that. Yeah, I can see
Like
that.
Mourinho won the Europa League, finished sixth with us, got another year. Van Gaal won the
Yeah.
FA Cup,
Yeah, that
got the
wasn't why he
sack
was
next
sacked,
morning
though,
because
Deeps.
he finished fifth.
That
Well,
was
we
quite
didn't
the difference.
Dalglish win the FA Cup and he got fired.
No,
Dalglish
No,
but
League
Chris,
Cup.
if we had
League
finished
Cup.
fourth,
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
if we had finished fourth and reached the Champions League, then the situation would have been slightly different for Van
No,
Gaal as
Van
well.
Gaal was going
Even for Van
anyway.
Gaal.
He'd already been told he'd be sacked.
Guys, sorry to interject rudely. I'm gonna have to make a move.
Oh, thank
Enjoy the
God for that.
podcast,
Now we
guys.
can
Good
go back
luck.
to talking about him. I mean,
Yeah.
nice to see you, Abid. It was lovely
Have a
talking
good
to
one,
you.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
really
see you
good
next
having
week.
you on.
See you, Abby.
Yeah.
See you next
Take care,
Thursday.
mate. See you
Cheers,
later.
guys. Enjoy. Bye bye.
Well, right, so what were should we get back to the... Where were we? The FA Cup, weren't we?
Yeah.
You're getting old, Tristan. Liverpool is the first thing to go.
Get it? The only thing
Come up with something original.
The only thing I can think of to talk about the FA Cup, really, the only thing I saw that interests me, which I think goes with what we're saying, is the only thing that I found interesting about was the Burnley-Bournemouth thing with Eric Peters.
Yeah.
Where Bournemouth had to rescue Burnley from playing in before kick-off, because otherwise he'd have been ineligible and they'd have been thrown out. I mean, they lost anyway, Burnley, but still, I mean, it's...
Yeah.
That was the only point of interest I saw in the entire bunch of games, which is quite sad.
It is, yeah, but it was an amazing thing, wasn't it, that, a team like Bournemouth, where they are, had to tell Burnley what they could do in playing a player.
Well, Burnley are worrying me, because they've been been the subject of a buyout, as we all know, a takeover, but theirs is a leveraged buyout, a bit like the one that was bought out Man United. Except I'm not sure Burnley earn the kind of revenue that can overcome the payments. Are you?
No.
Yeah, what I found out from the little that I've looked into it, the new owners, most of the money they've cited to buy Burnley comes from the amount they have already accumulated. I think it was somewhere around 50 million pound, maybe even more. That was the major money they, like Chris said, they leveraged to buy Burnley. It wasn't
90 million.
any of their money. Yeah, whatever amount they had in the bank.
It's never been in debt before. Burnley have always been wasn't in debt. I mean, before it was in really good, rude health, as in financially. Now they're 90 million in debt after being bought out. That's bizarre, isn't it?
It is, yeah, very much.
Yeah, so. and the current economical climate is the worst to be in debt.
It is. It's not good to be in debt in these times, is it?
No, they don't. That really does worry me for their future. It's a shame, because I really wanted to see Sean Dyche get backed heavily to see if he was, see if he'd still stick with the long ball football, or whether he'd actually turn up to make Pep, do a bit more tiki-taka than Pep Guardiola does.
I'm not sure about that.
Could you imagine it? That'd be brilliant.
I'd like to see him get some money and see what he could do with it.
Wouldn't it be brilliant if he turned Burnley into the English Barcelona, though, and had them playing teams off the park? It would be fantastic.
I can't see it, though, can you?
I think there's more chance of Wrexham doing it somehow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So should we... Oh, God, I was going to say...
We've done all most of the good FA Cup stories anyway. Let's move on to the league last week.
No, I was thinking I don't think we need to cover the league this week. It wasn't worth talking about. I mean, nothing happened, did it?
Well, there were some big games involving Merseyside teams.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, someone had cold feet.
No,
someone had cold feet,
I
right?
don't remember anything happening at the weekend. I'm sorry, it's gone. It's gone a complete blank.
Well, let me refresh your mind, Trish.
Please don't. Let me stay in denial, please.
First of all, there was a very good game at Old Trafford between Manchester United and Everton. Another goal fest. Two really good teams playing it out. I thought United were the better side, but Everton, to the credit,
was that the
kept going
reserve
to
game beforehand, and then the Everton game kicked off afterwards? Yeah.
As it turned out, not. But it was a good game to watch. Did you watch the game, Deeps?
No, I watched the highlights though.
Gosh,
oh, yeah.
Such a letdown he is. He wants us to do a podcast to talk about the football, and he hasn't even bloody watched any of it. And it was him that called this.
You can't, but you can't blame me. I missed one game.
I missed one game.
It was 9-0. When I didn't watch the game, it was 9-0. Come on.
I even blame you for climate change, mate.
But it was a good game at Old Trafford. A good game at Old Trafford. Did you watch it, Trish?
Funnily
Yeah, but
enough,
again-
no, because I was working. It's on in the background, and I'm there thinking, oh, for God's sake, trying to get finished working so I could watch it. And like, yeah, I didn't get it done in time. I was like, because it did sound
It's very
really
good.
good, you know, because you listened,
It
you
was
just
an
Oh, the
entertaining
Bruno
game.
game, the goal. The Bruno
Yeah.
goal, that was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, it was a great goal by Fernandez. Really good goal. There were some good goals in the game actually, and but it was entertaining to watch. As I say, I thought United were probably the better side. Well, they were the better side. And Everton, to the credit, never gave up. Battled to the 94th minute, got a goal, and it was a good game.
Was that the same in the cup? Because quite a few people were saying that Tottenham were actually the better side, but I don't know whether that's just because they're Spurs.
Tottenham were the better side in the cup early doors, and they could have been 2 or 3 up easily before Everton got back into the game. But I'd say overall they might have just shaded it on play, but Everton's tenacity and work rate were fantastic in the cup game.
I did spot one.
I wouldn't say that, Billy. I thought the better chances were for Everton. I think 4-4 was a bit fortunate for Spurs at the end.
They could have been a few up early on, to be honest with you, Deeps.
Yeah, but I thought
thought
on the balance of the chances created, Everton were worthy of their victory. I think
it was end to end. There was lots of chances, to be honest with you.
The key thing, though, is how will you get on without Calvert-Lewin?
Yeah. Well, we've got King to come in.
That's what we never spoke about. We should have done while we were covering it. See.
Yeah.
But he is available, right, Dominic?
No, he's got injured, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's picked up a hamstring injury, but he's just come back from one. I just hope it's not the same one. You know, that they haven't rested him enough.
How long had he been out for?
He'd only been out for 2 weeks.
The hammy, that's not long enough to take off. Even if it's just a slight strain, you should never rush back a hamstring. I had a torn hamstring, and that's what kept messing mine up.
But Everton never disclosed what injury it was or how long he would be out for. So
6 weeks. That's the usual.
No, not this one. The one before.
Yeah, I'm saying now he'll be out 6 weeks. They're not going to be stupid enough to rush him back. Surely now they've got King.
Yeah.
No, but King didn't look fit to me when he came on the other day. I think he's carrying a bit of weight. I don't know whether he's been training. I know he hasn't been playing, but he does look a little bit slow, and it'll take time to catch up. But I'm sure he'll be a decent signing for him.
That's quite worrying how a professional can end up getting themselves so out of shape, even if they're not playing.
Yeah. They've still got to train every day, haven't they? But I don't know whether he's been injured. I wouldn't know. I don't know whether he's been actually been injured. He does look a little bit out of sorts, fitness-wise. But I'm sure they'll get him up to speed.
When he scores the winner for you to lift the second league title this season, yeah, is that what you're going to say?
Well, he could do, couldn't he?
Yeah. Well, you Spurs and Leicester so far have already won the league, and now Man City. So I don't think you. I don't know if you can have 4 wins this season, can you?
Anyway, we're moving on now to the other big game involving Liverpool and Manchester.
No, I don't think we want to talk about that. Nothing happened. There's nothing really to discuss, is there?
It was quite an entertaining game as well.
She's glad you.
Some good goals. Some really good goals.
Yeah, it was very enjoyable, wasn't it, Billy?
I think so. Yeah, very much so.
Do you want to rearrange these words into a well-known phrase or saying?
Some really good goals.
Alisson had an absolute mare. 3 of the goals. I mean, that Foden shot, the last one, if he'd have just stayed on his feet, that hits him in the face. Why did he kneel down? The most, the basics of a goalkeeper is when you're 1-on-1, stand up, stay big.
Yeah.
I hate it when a goalkeeper goes, throws themselves at the, to the floor and stuff. But that kneeling is even worse. That's the worst thing you can do because it's nothing. It's not doing anything at all. It's just creating a bigger gap for them. I don't know why he did that. I've never seen him do that before.
It actually happened in the Everton game yesterday when Olsen went down on his knees to Lamella to make it 3-2. He done exactly the same as what Alisson did.
But that's because he's not good. Olsen did it because he's not good, Billy.
Yeah.
I'm going to maintain this all along. He's not much better than Pickford.
Yeah, he's not a very good keeper, is he, Olsen? He's kind of... You've got yourself stuck with two pups there, haven't you? But, I mean, Alisson's normally good, though. This is the thing. I mean, this is the difference. Is Alisson, you'd normally expect... even if he makes the mistakes kicking the ball away, he usually then makes pulls out a stunning save.
Makes amends,
yeah, it's quite weird. Just shows how bad confidence has sunk, I think. And the fact that the defence and midfield aren't working together because the midfield's actually in defence. But Ginny Wijnaldum...
It looks very disjointed, doesn't it?
Well, he was...
It looks disjointed at Liverpool at the moment.
On the first goal, because it was Foden gets acres of space, Fabinho doesn't watch him, doesn't spot him, is ball watching, but Ginny Wijnaldum stood in a position where he could see that there was a gap and just stands and watches. This has been the third or fourth game in a row he's played in that position, and he's done exactly the same thing when opposition players have got in dangerous positions, and he's just stood a couple of yards away and watches it. I don't know what he's doing.
Do you think it's because he wants out, Trish? Do you think with Ronaldo that it's because he wants out?
I don't know about whether he wants out at the moment, the way he's playing. He's been absolutely abysmal since the start of the season. He was fantastic. And you're thinking he's finally showing what he can do. And then it's just like, I don't know whether he's tired or whether he's just thought, well, I'm not going to get a contract, so there's no point trying now.
That's what I'm saying. Do you think it's coincided with the contract issue of when he's lost his form?
No, because he had the contract issue at the start of the season. You've got to remember last season as well. This has been hanging over him for a while, and Barcelona were in for him in the summer, and he started the season like a house on fire. Absolutely brilliant.
Do you think the issue is he thinks the contract's not on the table, but not from Liverpool, but from Barcelona? Maybe that might be a reason.
No, I think he's just realised that no matter how well he plays, he's not going to get a contract off Liverpool that he's interested in signing. So he's just chucked it, rather than he's contracts from somewhere else. I think he's just realised that he's not going to get it now, what he wanted. So why bother? Because that's what he looks like. I mean, I honestly couldn't understand why he wasn't dragged off at the first available opportunity. And then I realised I think Klopp must have forgotten he was on the pitch, because he did so bloody little. That's all it was. He's probably thought afterwards when he's making the third substitution, he's thought, what the hell is that Ginny Wijnaldum out there? Why didn't we take him off?
I didn't understand Jones going off. And
exactly. He was playing well. He was probably one of the few players that was actually performing. I feel sorry for Henderson having to play alongside Fabinho. Fabinho's not a defender. I don't care what anyone says. People keep saying he is. He's not a defender. He's a midfielder, and he just can't play in centre back. This has been
a ball watcher.
Accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, he just watches the ball going over his head, going around him.
It's not that. He's not proactive enough, because he's used to playing in midfield, and then he knows he goes chasing the ball. When he's playing in defence, he started off, he was going chasing the ball like he did in midfield, and obviously somebody's had a word with him, said you can't do that, you keep selling yourself and there's nobody behind you to cover like there is when you're in midfield. So now he's sort of like he doesn't know what to do with himself. So he tends to just stand, and he's like reacting to things rather than getting himself into position first and being ready, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? I can't think how to explain it.
Well, going back to the game, I thought first half Liverpool probably shaded it. It was a decent game. Football, actually.
To be fair, the first 20 minutes, City were bossed it, and then Liverpool took over for the rest of the half.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have that, yeah.
Yeah, because I
But
did
second
on my
half, they
notes
were
that was
far
one.
better. And Foden was very good. One of young Foden, he was excellent.
People say that, but it was flashes rather than he actually played well. For the first half, I mean, I even wrote he's been anonymous. At the end of the first half, he was absolutely anonymous until he moved wide. He was terrible in the first half. Yeah, people were going on as if he'd done something brilliant. He hadn't. Sterling was excellent.
Yeah, Sterling was good.
But Foden was just, he didn't get involved in the game too much, and then he did a couple of things, and everyone's like, oh, he's the greatest thing in the world. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I expect him to actually, he should be having a lot more impact on the game. His goal, for instance, shouldn't have been a goal. That's just bad rank amateur goalkeeping, but big mistake. And much as I love Allison, he got it wrong there. It was terrible goalkeeping. The first goal, where he took the shot, I mean, wasn't, it was just bad defending again. They all fell asleep and left him in acres of space. He didn't do anything special to do it. And also, I just no, I'm not convinced he was that special. He wasn't bad, and don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he had a bad game. He just didn't do enough for me. He needs to impose himself. He needs to impose himself more for my liking. Like Sterling was always in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Whereas Foden,
I thought it was Sterling's best game against top teams.
No crowd.
Yeah.
That really showed. That was when you saw what the difference is between having a crowd at a game and not having a crowd at a game. Because Sterling can't play in front of the Liverpool crowd at Anfield. He can't play.
It's not just Liverpool crowd. I think he just can't play against big pressure if you think it's because of the lack of crowd. Because he has had zero influence on any games against Manchester United, be it for Liverpool, Manchester City. He's just utterly useless when he plays against us.
I totally talking about big sides.
Yeah, that's what confused me. I mean, mid-table teams, it won't really bother him, I wouldn't have thought.
No, but
he'll come back when you win a trophy.
Will do. No, but what it highlighted for me was how much better the squad is of Man City's than Liverpool's. Liverpool were missing players, key players. But so was City. They were missing Aguero, missing Kevin De Bruyne, but they had the quality to come in, and I think that's the difference between the two sides. Was the quality that they've got on the bench rather than what Liverpool.
Yeah, I'd agree with that to a degree, but I'd also say if City were missing their best three central defenders, they'd be in a similar situation. To be fair,
yeah,
I think that's the same with any club in the world. So I think I think people are forgetting this. Like Roy Keane, who keeps gobbing off, he seems to forget his own Man United team threw it away when they only had one out, and that was Rio Ferdinand missing.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the criticism I think is just it's just ridiculous. Liverpool are doing well to even be in the top four right now without the three main centre backs. I think
people get confused when they see only three significant injuries.
But
it's not just three significant injuries. It's three significant injuries in the same position.
And it's
like Billy said, City had De Bruyne and Aguero out, but they play in a different positions.
But also, Liverpool have been missing players like Jota. Salah's been out with COVID, and he's come back, and it took him a while to find his feet. Mane went out with COVID, and he hasn't been the same since. This hasn't been like just a one-off. It's been a constant. It's just player after player getting injured, and obviously, the more you have out at one time, the more others go out injured because they're having to play more games, so they're getting more tired. And in this season, obviously, everyone's struggling, stretched thin. So yeah, City, that break City had. I'm not saying it was a deliberate thing or anything like that. I don't want to start a conspiracy theory of it being a deliberate thing, but that break they had for COVID has really worked in their favour. Because it's allowed them to just have a rest, reset, and go again. And
another point, Chris.
What's it?
Another point. Last season, City were quite underwhelming in the league, and most people cited the reason being Laporte being out most part of the season.
Yeah.
It's a very similar situation with Liverpool if we look at from that point of view. They're missing one of the best player who is arguably the best in his world or top three at least in his
I'd say
position.
best in the world, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand what the issue with people, be it in the media or fans or whatever. If it is acceptable for a team that is as expensively assembled as City to crumble under one significant injury, then why is it so surprising that Liverpool are going through some growing pains when a similar situation occurs?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've been saying as well. But apparently that doesn't matter to the media. Just want to stir up a story, don't they? But it's funny because they didn't really want to know about City doing the same thing last season with one injury. It was odd. There was none of this with none of this hysteria about City being terrible last season.
I can tell you why.
Go on.
Because Manchester City were still better than Manchester United last year.
That's been for 10 years now.
I was going to say that's not really a high bar, though, is it? You really set a low bar. That's like saying it's a high jump, or it's an ankle high.
No, you're not seeing the point. What I'm saying is the new bar for City is Manchester United. If you're worse than us, then you're really horrible.
That's true. That is the one thing I am ashamed of, is that we might finish below you in the table. I mean, even if we had 25 players out a season, we should still be able to finish above Ole. Let's be honest.
I have a question, Chris.
Uh-oh.
Who is dining?
Is this about sex? Because I'm not going to explain the birds and bees to you again, mate.
No. Who is making a more privilege out of their Champions League winning goal? Origi or Ole?
Ooh, that's a good one, isn't it? Hey, who's making I think Ole's managed longevity out of his Champions League winning goal. Though to be fair, his was more of a winning goal than Origi's was kind of like sealing it, weren't it, rather than a winning goal. So
yeah, and every time someone has to defend Origi, that is the only thing anyone can bring up.
Well, no, because it's Barcelona, he scored in the 4-0. I remember a few games against Everton, he pulled us out the fire as well. I mean, he does have a knack for scoring goals when it matters.
Yeah, but
that's it. That's all he does. He scores goals when it matters, and that's fantastic to have on the bench if you can afford to just leave him sat on the bench all season until it's the 98th minute of an extra time against Everton, and you can pull him off the bench to score 7 to put us through because Pickford panics every time he goes near him. That's the thing.
That's the only time he's ever coming on, though, isn't it? Yeah. In the last 5 minutes, you're never going to with it, really, are you?
Well, even when he does come on, he just doesn't do enough. It's like, not like I was moaning about Foden, because at least Foden's trying. I just mean Foden doesn't impose himself enough. With Origi, he just literally doesn't do enough. He strolls around too much and that. It's a shame because there's so much talent there, but he's just far too laid back. He needs fire in his belly. He needs aggression.
Yeah.
He needs to be sold.
He needs to be fired up. If that means we have to sell him to do it, but I mean, if he's happy to sit there,
sat on the bench for 5 years and you still don't have enough fire in your belly, then there is no point being there, man.
Yeah, but I'm saying from a Liverpool point of view, if you've got a player like that and he's on not a particularly high wage for a Liverpool player, let's be honest, at the Premier League level, he's not on a particularly high wage. If you've just got him sat there to have on the bench for in the last 5 minutes, you need to pull something out of the fire. That's not a bad player to have at this, in a club like Liverpool or Man United can afford to do that usually. In usual circumstances.
Yeah.
I mean,
United
have still got players like Phil Jones on the books, so they know the difficulty of offloading players you don't actually really want to have at the club anymore. It's just not that easy to get rid of them.
Listen, but Chris, when you pay Phil Jones more than you're paying Bruno Fernandes, it's gonna be hard to get him off the books.
Yeah, you're very,
I don't,
very much
I don't know
so.
who was the idiot. I don't know who was the idiot that thought giving Phil Jones a 5-year contract on 120K a week is
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a
even
problem.
considerable. Idiots.
But even if they hadn't given him that, it's still a problem getting rid of these players because nobody wants them anymore. You know, years ago, Man United and Liverpool fringe players, teams like, you know, in the Championship and the lower half of the Premier League would snap up anyone who was on the fringes of there because they think they'd improve their team. But these days,
The thing is now, Trish, with at the end of this season, with the effect COVID's had,
yeah, no one can afford
it's
it.
going to be hard to get rid of any players because people aren't going to pay the wages and they're not going to pay any fee for them, for the likes of your Joneses and Origis and whoever.
No,
Yeah,
We're going
I
to be stuck
blame
with that
Ancelotti.
useless.
I blame Ancelotti.
Ancelotti.
If he hadn't if he hadn't come and took over Everton, then we could have sold out players.
That's a good point, that Deeps. A very good point.
I'm agreeing with that one, all right. They were always good for taking the shite off your hands, weren't they?
We took Gibbo, didn't we, Gibson?
Yeah. Who else? You've had quite a few. I mean, Rooney, he's past it. Well, no, we'll give him back to Everton.
Yeah, Kanchelskis was good. He was good.
Oh no, Kanchelskis was class.
Where's Tim Howard?
But that was a different situation.
Yeah, Tim Howard.
Kanchelskis was at his peak, but he had gambling debts, and Ferguson wouldn't help him out anymore because he'd had enough of paying them off all the time. And Everton said, "Hang on, mate. How much do you owe? We'll pay it off for you. We'll sort it out. Don't you worry if you join us." And that was the difference.
It was a good move, wasn't it?
Oh, what a player!
Really good move.
I love him
great
as a player. So quick. He's a bit like Traore, but it could actually cross.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, he frightened players, didn't he?
Yeah.
He frightened defenders. Yeah, great player, Andrei Kanchelskis.
Far too good for Everton, that one. At the time.
No, he wasn't. He joined a great team, actually.
Didn't he join after in the 90s?
Just after we peaked.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He joined a bit late. That's what I mean. He joined a bit late, didn't he? That's what I was saying. Rather than it was a shame because he should have been in the team like a couple of years before, and it could have been something special. That couldn't it?
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, if only. But
that's life, isn't it?
Yeah. Deep's got anything to add? Because he's normally got something. He's normally waiting with something.
Something United related.
He's probably just he's writing a list of players to ask me to profile. That's what it is. He hasn't given me any for a couple of hours. And all right,
yeah, I thought you were centre-backs for poor Deeps against Everton last week. Did you watch the highlights? I thought you said Crowds were poor against Everton last week.
I was, and my takeaway was we were good when we were attacking. We were quite nervous when we were defending.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
I take it.
And I don't want to talk about us defending because we have an 80 million pound refrigerator at the back.
I was going to say, was Maguire playing by any chance? That was all I was going to ask. When you said you were crap at the back, you just know, don't you? There's no need to ask, really.
When you're saying did you play...
I don't want to blame Ole completely because except for Maguire, nobody else is going to guarantee you being fit for the next game. And like I said, availability is the most important ability. No one else is fit.
Is Bailey not fit? Keeps Bailey.
He's like Eric Bailly and Joel Matip are. I think they're on the same board. If they start a game, you have to fear whether they're gonna finish the game or not.
Yeah, every time they move, you start thinking, Christ, did he just pull up then, don't you?
Bailly is proper poo-housery. He's gonna kick people, he's gonna go through players, he's gonna fight for every ball, and then he's gonna get concussed. And then he's gonna maybe shatter his ankle, do something to his knee, and then he's again off for a month, 2 months. We need
Yeah,
reliable players. That is the issue.
yeah,
At
you're
least
right.
with Maguire, although he brings his issues, at least he's gonna play the next game.
Yeah, but sometimes you're better off not having a player playing than having Maguire playing. To be fair. Oh, which that's something I wanted to ask you. What do you two think about Nat Phillips at Liverpool while we're talking about defenders?
I thought he's done very well, actually. But I know some people don't, but I thought he's done really well.
I really like him. I really like him because
So it's not just
he's a
me then.
defender. He's a defender.
That's exactly what he is, a defender. He's not a ball player. He's never going to hit what Van Dijk does, hit the 40-yard ball over the top.
But he's not
I
bad.
think he's a bit like, I think he's a bit like Nemanja Vidic.
Yeah, he's just a proper defender.
Because he's a proper defender. He's ready to put his body on the line, his head on every 50-50. People think that he's useless on the ball, but that is not the truth.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
decent.
I mean,
He's
he
not
did
horrible.
one of the matches. I can't remember which one it was. It wasn't the City game. I think it was the one before he played. He did he took the ball out of defence. There was no options on, so he just kept running with it. But he did really well. You know what I mean? You're thinking this lad's not bad on the ball at all. To be honest, he's played some decent passes. You know, some insightful ones. You're thinking, I just don't understand why Klopp doesn't have him in the team.
Got in front of him. Why did you think Williams got in front of him, Tris?
I have absolutely no idea because he is the single worst defender I've ever seen pull on a Liverpool shirt. I'm not saying that as in like I'm not exaggerating. I am being absolutely 100% serious. He's the worst defender I've ever seen pull on a Liverpool shirt at the top level, like at the Premier League type level rather than youth level and that. Like, I just don't understand what Klopp's using him.
Didn't you win Champions League with Jimmy Traore or someone at the back?
Yeah, and he's better than Reece Williams, Jimmy Traore.
Wow.
That's some statement, then.
To be fair, Jimmy Traore wasn't bad on the ball and that. It wasn't bad. He just makes stupid errors. Reece Williams just simply couldn't defend. I mean, he'd never do a Cruyff turn and put it in the back of his own net like Jimmy Traore did, but he offers nothing in defense. He has no positional sense. He has no defensive awareness. He must think he's got the pace of Traore because he's constantly running out of his own half and going forward when he should be running back towards his own goal to protect it. You know what I mean? It's like he doesn't seem to have any idea of how to give a fast attacker space so he can give himself time to react to it. You know what I mean? He's got
and he also doesn't go towards the ball either. When he's running at players, he doesn't even get attracted to the ball. At least that is understandable.
Yeah, exactly. He just doesn't seem to know where to be, does he?
The reason I was asking was people have been saying how well he's been playing, and I've seen him a few times, thought he'd beat him. I just wondered what the logic was for not having, when you've got your best centre-half out, why you wouldn't put someone in there to just do the job of being an out-and-out centre-half, get rid of the ball. He doesn't whack it up the field. He will play it. But I just thought it was a very strange decision for Klopp to put Williams ahead of him.
No, I don't understand it. Phillips would have been my first choice. And the moment I saw Williams, I mean, people were raving about his performance against Spurs, and I was completely the opposite. I thought he was dreadful then. And I pointed out how all these flaws that we're talking about now, I pointed them out from that very first time I saw him play. He's not got a clue. And I don't understand what was happening there, why he's got in there. I mean, I can see he was playing a non-league football last season on loan. And to be honest, I'm not sure he was doing that good there. And I hate to say that, I know he's just a kid and he can improve, but he doesn't have the basic knowledge that I would expect an 11-year-old to have in the game, defensively.
Yeah, it would at least be understandable if he was to play alongside Virgil van Dijk. At least, okay, you have Van Dijk. you can at least see the sense when
No.
you don't have any senior centre backs. I think you would rather have at least one of the centre backs you're playing be slightly more better defensively and also
Yeah.
more experienced, which Phillips was.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was. But even if Van Dijk was there, I'd still rather have a player like, because Van Dijk can do the passing out from the back anyway. So you don't need another ball player there. I don't see that there is absolutely 100% need to have two ball playing centre backs. Phillips can do good enough to. He can pass it 5 yards to the player in front of him. That's all he needs to do at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And he
Especially if you have Fabinho there or Jordan Anderson there. He's only got to give it to them, hasn't he, really? He doesn't have to play the big ball.
And I don't understand why Fabinho plays at the back at all. I don't like him there. He's the most important job he does is front screen of defence, especially aerially. He's brilliant at that. And without that, they're just going. The balls are just going straight past the defence and putting us in trouble. So,
yeah.
Oh God, so much for not talking about Liverpool.
You know,
Just
one more thing on Liverpool.
Now you've made me feel really
One more
miserable.
thing on
I'm going to
Liverpool.
sulk. I'm switching this off. You can fucking do the rest of it on your own. I don't want to know anymore.
I'll be to want to talk about. He's going to become the most expensive teenager, isn't he? His fee's gone to arbitration. Something in the region of 4 million, is it?
1.5 up front and 2.8 for add-ons like bonus, whatever you call them, extra clauses.
Yeah.
That doesn't make him the most expensive teenager.
No, it won't. 16-year-old, most expensive 16-year-old, I think.
16-year-old, yeah. Sorry.
It's nowhere near the most expensive teenager. Somebody like Pellegrini went for something like 50 million, didn't he? Or 30 million or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
Wasn't he in rushed? Like, he wasn't far off 1.5 million when he joined Liverpool, was he? I can't remember now.
I don't know. I can't remember that far back.
No.
We don't have to go that far back. We bought Amad Diallo, who's going to cost more than 40 if he fulfills all his add-ons. Like there are more players aged 17, 18 in Manchester United's youth setup who have cost more than 5 million.
It's a very strange system that you buy. Your academy is not really. When you've got an academy that's been so good in the past, it's very strange that you have to now keep buying players when you've got players like Rashford who have made it through without having to be bought.
Yes. Yeah, the thing is, I think right now our first team squad has more local lads than our youth setup. I think, and that's a very very sad indictment.
It's very bizarre. It's really odd because you shouldn't. I don't know. I just find that a bit. I don't like play. I think the youth setup shouldn't be allowed to bring in players from outside. It should be only. It should be a youth academy. It shouldn't really be about bringing in players from outside. It shouldn't be about buying the best. Because these little clubs around the world, their only hope is to hang on to them until after they've played a few first team games, and then they can sell them for a big fee to survive on.
Yeah. Yes, we don't buy from little clubs. We buy from Real Madrid, Atletico, Monaco, clubs like that.
A small club.
But Ahmad isn't a youth player. Come on.
He played one
He's
match.
not a youth player.
He'd played one game. One first team game.
No,
he played one first team game for Atalanta.
No. He had I think three first team appearances before we agreed to buy him in the summer.
He'd played once
and then
he again
no.
In the Europa League.
No.
I don't know.
No.
I'm pretty sure he only played once. There was only one game listed on the, when I was looking on the scouting network to have do a quick thing on him. Oh.
Yeah, this season as well. My point is, he's someone who's been around the first team. He was named on the bench almost every match week this year. He's not
So's Origi being
a
named on the bench for
17-year-old.
Liverpool. That doesn't make him a first team player, mate. That still makes him a reserve.
But that doesn't make him a youth player.
No, but my point is that, like, you know, unless you're playing regularly, actually on the pitch, you're still a youth player. You know,
Yeah.
you're still not in the first team unless you're actually on the pitch regularly. Not in these days where you've got 45 squad members in each, in the and on the bench, like. Because you've got to remember in Italy, every single
I
player.
knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say
every
that.
single player in the squad is on the bench. Every single player. So
Don't you think that's better?
He's not actually a first team player. He just is in the first team squad. Well, you know, that'd be like saying Leighton Clarkson at Liverpool. He's in the first team squad, but he's not a first team player, is he?
Yeah, but do you not think the system in Italy is better? It gives more opportunities
Does
for
it?
managers to. Let's say, for example, if we could name 15 players on the bench against Southampton, surely one or two young lads
Yeah, but that's not
would
when
have gotten
that's
a
not
run
when a
out.
player learns anything coming on when you're 9-0 up and then against 9 men. That's not when. This is what annoys me is people keep going on. You don't want to bring him on when you're losing or play them when you're in a bad run because it'll cause it makes it'll affect their development. No, that's when they learn. Bad times is when players learn and improve. That's when they should be in the team. That's what they need to experience these things. They need setbacks to make them go back and work harder at their game.
Yeah, that is what we think, but not the managers, sadly.
Yeah, but I'm saying in Italy, that's what happens. Is they still do that. Players there's very few. They have a real problem where they don't like young players. They tend to have them when they're in their
So, Christian,
20s as a rule. Come through, and that's an Italian mentality problem that's an often moan in Italian football circles is that they hold them back too much. Prefer experience.
So, Christian,
Mm-hmm.
I just did a little Google search, and Ahmad had 3 appearances and 1 goal for Atalanta last season.
Oh, last season. I never looked at last season.
Yeah.
I only looked at this season. That'll be why. So he's
And
had
we
4
bought him.
appearances then. Because he had one this season.
He's a stalwart.
Hey, he's regular then.
And he
Regular
scored a
first
goal
team
for them
player.
as
He's
well.
played as often as Leighton Clarkson. Brilliant.
Wait, he scored. He scored a goal for Atalanta last season. That's almost as much as Jesse Lingard managed in the whole of last season.
Oh, sorry. Have you still you still going?
Yeah.
So back to Liverpool.
He's still a youth team. He was still a youth team player, as he is at Man United.
No, but what I'm saying is he's not a 16-year-old we're buying. At least we're buying for the first team. I don't like seeing players being bought at 16 and then their career going to waste because we don't have any plan for them when they turn 18, 19, and we end up letting them go when they're 20.
That's just annoying, that is, when you see that. I mean, especially as they end up, the poor buggers, their careers are ruined. They end up joining teams like Everton to play at the back, don't they? Like a certain Michael Keane. I mean,
No, they don't.
that's when you know you've been ruined by Man United, isn't it? Eh?
He never had a good game yesterday, but he's been playing well, Michael Keane, to be fair to him.
He's been playing really well since Ancelotti arrived, I would say. Since Ancelotti's been at Everton, he's been one of the best defenders at Everton, which isn't a big achievement though.
Yeah, and to be fair, Ancelotti does play a very organised system which benefits defenders. It does favour defenders looking good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Though I've got to say, I love Godfrey. I'm really glad he's doing well because I wanted us to move for him. So I'm
He's
glad
doing well, you know, Trust. He's doing really well.
Well, I did say before when you signed him, I said.
Yeah, you did, Trust. Fair
I
really
really wanted. He was the one I wanted us to buy in the summer. Him and or
That is why. Billy, that is why he's bringing up Godfrey. He wants us to praise him for saying, "Oh,
No. I was just
Godfrey is
saying
a
because
good
we were
player."
talking about players who are playing well for him.
No, no. See, he's a
To be fair,
Billy. Billy, he's a
he
proper
did say
Billy
good
Big
what I
Dog.
did.
I don't need to. I don't need to ask you, Deeps, because I know you'll never give me frigging credit. You'll just say if I give, rather than giving me credit, you just give me another list of 50 names to profile,
No, what?
so that you can then
Something
tell
like
your
what
mates what you know about these players because you've read about them
Shit.
and claim it all for
What is
yourself.
that?
We are going to have to
Move on, I
go
think.
on now
Yeah.
about a subject that I don't really like bringing,
Billy,
but it's got to be
just
brought up.
quickly.
And that is the.
Uh-oh.
Go on, mate. Go on,
I
Deeps.
just wanted to ask Trish, like I've seen there being some rumors linking Salah to a move. Do you think it's gonna
His
happen?
agent's been offering him around again, and Liverpool are getting annoyed with it again. He's been
Do you
offering
think? Do you
him.
think it's better to sell him?
Why? It's not Salah. It's his agent. It's just a pain in the ass. He's not. Even in Egypt,
But come
they
on,
don't like
I don't
him.
buy this. I
Is
don't
it-
buy this. Oh, it's not the
Ask the
player. It's his
Egyptians.
agent. It's like people saying it's not Pogba. It's Mino. No. If it happens once, it's the agent. If it happens again and again, then surely Salah must be aware.
Well, it's only Salah might be aware, but he's not pushing. He's not asking for the move away. He's not causing problems. He's playing. He's the one forward that's actually playing well. Why would you say get rid of him? He's the last one you'd sell at the moment.
No.
So no, I don't. I understand that like it's freaking annoying that his agent is constantly pushing him to other clubs, but every agent, that's what they do. It's their job to. It's just his agent happens to be a particularly pain in the ass type of agent. He's one of the worst out there, and I know he feels they're mates like and that, but he really does need to get rid of him. He's not well liked by anybody in the sport either. You know what I mean? He's not like he's useful to have because he's well liked, but Salah's a loyal kind of guy, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so you're saying you would rather sell Mane?
Well, the way to be honest, I think Salah's been the best player we've had for the last few years. He's been absolutely sensational, and even when he's going, people are saying he's not playing well. It tends to be because the other team are putting 3 or 4 players on him, and the other, and Mane's then being given space, and so Mane's flying. But in part, that's because Salah's being, drawing away all the defenders.
It's almost like the situation with Ronaldo and Bale.
It happened with this.
Ronaldo
It happened with Sturridge as well. Sturridge and Suarez used to do the same thing. You have 2 defenders or 3 defenders marking Suarez, and it gives Sturridge a license to do what he wants with, basically.
Exactly. When Calvert-Lewin was on fire, it was doing the same with. It was giving Rodriguez a bit of time.
Richarlison.
And Richarlison.
Yeah.
It does.
That happens,
need a player like that.
It does happen. Yeah.
And so long as he's if he's not letting it affect his performances on the pitch, I think you're crazy to say you've got to get rid of him because his agent's hawking him around. You just want him. All you'd say to him is, he's putting his price up. So like, if we do happen to sell him, we're going to get more money. So what's the issue?
No, I'm not saying get rid. I personally think Salah is hands down, far and away the best player in your front 3. What I'm saying is, don't you think it's annoying that every few months he's going around trying to sell Salah? I think
it's
invariably it's gonna seep into the team and damage the morale. Sooner or later, I think that is a risk with this sort of behavior.
But
Mind you, I wouldn't be unhappy if Liverpool suffered from this sort of behavior.
Yeah. But I'm not being funny, but I doubt if there's a player that plays well, apart from maybe Trent and Jones at Liverpool, whose agent wouldn't be having a tip in the nod and the wink to other clubs just in case they get the right offer that tempts Liverpool to sell and they can earn themselves a big fat wage. So
That's the job, isn't it?
yeah. So I don't think it's actually much different from what is happening with all the players. He just happens to be a particularly how can I say it, a particularly obvious one. He's just not very good at his job. He's far too open. He's so disliked by everyone that it comes out in public because people talk about it rather than keeping it quiet like they would if they liked each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, in Egypt they hate him. The Egyptians I speak to around here, they don't like him at all. But Abyss Issa, they really don't like him. So he's not like he's a popular guy, like.
No.
So anyway, you
Anyway,
were saying,
to move on.
yeah, you were saying, Bill.
I was saying it's a subject that we've got to bring up. I don't like bringing up, but the abuse online again is making all the headlines again. The stupid abuse online from keyboard warriors who have got nothing better to do than to racial abuse of players, and now referees are coming into it where it's just out of order, and they're going to do something about it. The sites are saying today that they're going to get a grip of it, but they've got to do more than what they're proposing. For me,
I don't understand why it's taken so long for them to actually say, "Oh, we're going to actually do something." This has been years it's been going on. You've had plenty of time to do it. The only reason you're now is because your earnings are being threatened because you're not doing it.
Yeah.
They could have done something about it a long time ago. They keep making excuses, and the excuses don't fly with me. There's plenty of things they can do.
Yeah, but there's things the players could do as well by just deleting all their accounts to the ones where they're getting abused, and pop stars and celebrities, and just to stop using them.
Yeah, and it'd soon stop.
You get no clickbait then, no people logging onto the sites to look for these things, and I think it's as bad as the racism that we've had. Is this online stuff now? It's just getting beyond a joke. It's ruining people.
I mean, that Mike Dean, his family getting death threats. I mean, for God's sake, yeah, he made a horrible mistake with that 2-check thing. It was a terrible error. Not just him, Lee Mason and VAR. I mean, what the hell? You're watching it over and over in a replay, and you still can't see that that's clearly an accident. I think you should never referee again. But when he then goes over and looks at it, that's fine to say that they should never referee again, and for the PGMOL to say, yeah, hang on, we can't have you refereeing again. That's just, you clearly don't understand the sport if you think that's a red card.
No.
But that's all that should be happening, nothing more. There should be no abuse. We know they're a bit knobby, but I don't know, what's the need to abuse them for making a mistake? We've all made mistakes in work. I mean, you made more mistakes than most. You chose to support Everton, so you know what I mean.
Yeah, I've got to live with that, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, it is getting ridiculous, though.
Yeah, I mean,
it really is.
And what do you think they'll actually do anything? Because I don't. I just don't.
I listened to Mark House the other day, and the abuse he got. He actually had cancer, and his wife had cancer as well. And the things that he told a story, like he come forward with it, and the abuse that him and his wife got. She was depressed for a long time. I mean, really depressed, And his daughter saying things about his young daughter, what he'd like to do to her and all. And honestly, God, it was an eye-opener, honest to God. And, I wasn't a big fan of Mark Halsey. I didn't think he was a good referee. But no one deserves abuse like that. That's just awful. What are people like? It's wrong. Just wrong.
I mean, Deeps, you're a young person, so they say. So, do you know why it happens? Because I suppose it's not just youngsters. That's the thing, isn't it? That's the sad thing. Is it's quite often it's 40-odd-year-old men who should know better. If
Yeah,
they
but
were
Chris,
12-year-olds like Deep, sure you'd understand it.
no, but it's not even why it happens. It's why does it take these media platforms to see the whole world burning down to actually notice something is happening?
Yeah, very
And I
much
don't,
so.
and I don't agree with Billy when he says players should deactivate their accounts when they get abuses. I don't think that is the solution. That is what they actually want to accomplish by abusing
Yeah,
them.
yeah, but to be fair, Deep,
That is, I think that is the same as saying you should walk away from the game when someone
no,
abuses.
because this isn't part of
I
the
think
game, is it? But the thing
no,
is,
what I'm,
if you want to make Twitter and Facebook, whatever it's called, I can't remember what it's called now, but any of them take notice, the only way to do it is to stop using them. Because they'll have to
Eat
fix
them where
the
they hate
problem.
in the pocket.
Yeah, this isn't the
Yeah.
same. This isn't their game. This isn't their sport. They're not walking away from their sport. They're still carrying on doing what the people are abusing them for doing. That's what we're saying. You carry on doing what you're actually, what you're being abused for doing. You ignore what they're saying. But if the platforms like Twitter and that are not going to stand up and help, and take action against it, then then no one should be using it until they do.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that, Trish. Yeah.
Personally, I don't think a professional footballer should be having time to mess about with social media that much. Anyway, I'm not a big fan of it. Does no good at all. Does nothing but harm for people's mental health. So last thing I want is my players on there, to be honest.
Yeah. And it will affect players, won't it?
Yeah.
What people are saying.
Well, yeah. I mean, you just can't get away with it. It's one thing, in the old days, it used to be they used to avoid the papers, but you can't really avoid the abuse when when it's on social media, can you?
No, you can't. No.
If you go on there, that's it. You're gonna see it.
I think the issue is that me being a random stranger, random nobody, I don't think it's fair that I have a direct access to, let's say, comment or let's say get the attention of Marcus Rashford or Axel Tuanzebe or whoever the player
Yeah,
is.
but didn't you
I
go
think
to
that-
another? They can go to another social media platform. There's more than one out there. That's my point. Is they should
Yeah,
remove
fair enough.
themselves
That is my
off
point,
things like
but that is
Twitter
my
or
point, Chris.
Instagram.
That is my point. Whichever the social media platform it is, I don't think it's completely correct that I can open an
I'm
account
sorry, but
without
you're by saying that you're supporting the racist because you're saying I want to stay on this account when the Twitter and that aren't acting, rather than saying no, I don't like the fact that Twitter aren't acting to stop these racists. We should all stop using it just because you want access to players. I'm sorry, I find that I don't agree with your attitude
No,
at
no.
all on that.
What
That's
I-
what you seem to be suggesting. It's not
No,
unfair
what
to
I'm
you because
suggesting
you
is-
could go
no, no,
somewhere
no.
else and get the same access. That's what we're saying. They
No,
should
what
just
I'm
move to
saying is
another
social media.
site.
No. What I'm saying is all social media. They should make sure that a random nobody without any information, that guy shouldn't be able to directly communicate with these guys.
Well, then how do they?
They should-
They should be able to. They're not. Why are they? They're not superheroes. Why shouldn't they be allowed to? Why shouldn't the rest of us be able to talk to them? Are they too good to talk to the likes of us?
No, there should be some sort of a filter method where let's say if let's say if it is possible for you to be tracked with your with the details you've provided, then okay. In the scenario that you say something abusive, then you can be reprimanded. Then you should be allowed full access. Otherwise, most of these racist comments, these abusive acts, they're not done by the account where let's say if I am an offender, it wouldn't be from an account where it says my name, where it says my where
Yeah, but they
I've
can
given
still
my
find out who
full
it is. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, but going back to the Mark Halsey thing, interview that I listened to, he, after they abused him and his wife and his daughter he got in touch with the police. The police got in touch with the social media company who refused to give the police the details of the person who gave that abuse out. So they've got to be held accountable if they're putting that thing on a net. And I thought it was terrible that the police couldn't even get access to who was doing this abuse.
It was often the problem when it was phone, mobile phones. The police just wouldn't do it because they had to pay for it. They had to pay for the details, so they wouldn't bother getting the details off the mobile phone companies because they'd charge them, which I think's obscene. That if there's a crime being committed and they've got tracked, like when my mum and dad got burgled, they stole my mum's mobile phone. Now she worked for Orange, which is why their voice recognition was the only one that understood my accent. The only one in the world that's ever understood my accent, because my mum did the voice thing for it. Did the thing. But anyway, yeah, she worked for Orange, and when her house got burgled, they stole a load of pictures of like my daughter and that. So obviously her granddaughter, and but that she wanted back. And when she went, the police wouldn't even though she knew they could get the tracking number, because obviously she worked for the company that did it. They refused to go and get the details off Orange because they'd have to pay for it. And they're saying, yeah, but we don't know. We don't know if it's the same bloke who's stolen it. That's got your phone. And my mum was, it was like, yeah, but he's receiving stolen goods at the very least, which is a crime. So you could go and get him for that, and then hope he gives up the people who've robbed it if he's not the one.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
And it turned out the bloke who robbed their house turned out to be a bloke. What he'd been doing is he'd been robbing the local the hospices. He'd been going around the lockers of the dying patients and stealing all the stuff out of them. When they actually raided his house in the end, because she persuaded them only because she went to the papers, and so they went and did. When they actually raided his house, they found hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of stuff from like dying people that he'd been stealing.
It is. It's scandalous, isn't it? Absolutely scandalous.
Yeah, and they're getting away with it because of that. But all Twitter and that, they know who it is. They can track them. There's no excuse for it. They own the service. They've got to go onto the service to use it, to abuse it. These aren't like, you're not talking about sophisticated hackers that are causing the problems here. You're talking about people like me and you that, like, we wouldn't have a clue how to hide our identity properly.
No. No, they've got to do more. That's all I'm saying. They've got to do more. And I know they've promised to do things, but it's got to go further than that and start prosecuting people and throwing people in prison for doing it.
If that's what it takes, that's what it takes at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it could have been cut. It could have been cut off years ago if they'd just actually acted from the beginning. But they don't want to hit they don't want to hit themselves in the pocket, do they?
No.
Yeah. So should we move on then?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to move on to the games that have to be moved for COVID. Because it's a bizarre situation, this, isn't it? All the European games.
Well, it is. And I remember you coming out, Tris, and saying months ago that you should think that European games should have been stopped. The European competition should have been suspended because of it. It's just turned into a farce now, isn't it?
Yeah, it made no sense. You're in the middle of a pandemic where people are passing it along by travelling. Why would you not? You're getting lockdowns and stuff. I don't even know why they thought this would be a clever idea to do.
It's just the money go around, isn't it? Again, it's
Has Deep's left us?
No.
Oh, it's just quiet. So we're not used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very strange, isn't it? What's going on in the world? Why now teams are going to have to travel again to a different country to play a game that's supposed to be your own game in Hungary and Man City's case. Where Liverpool got to play theirs.
Yeah. Well, both teams have now got to travel to to a game rather than one team. So you're increasing the actual chances of passing something on.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Yeah, and also isn't it, if you have to move the game to different location, isn't it better to have it played just a single leg?
Well, there's a lot of
Single
talk
leg.
that they might move, but they might move both games to a neutral location, or yeah, there is there is a possibility of just playing a single one-off tie.
I
But
just
then,
see
but
this is the problem.
that's not fair on those two on the clubs involved in this compared to the others that are getting two-legged ties to have a chance to go through.
Yeah, maybe they should just do what they did back end of last season.
Yeah, play one-off games. Yeah,
One of game have
yeah.
maybe month months at the back end
Yeah,
to play your round of 16 quarterfinals, everything they get done with
everyone goes
it.
into a camp and play at the end of the
Yeah,
season.
yeah, you create a new bubble just for the Champions
Yeah.
League teams, and
Yeah,
then
that would have been the best idea. It's how international football should have been done as well this season. End of the season, after everything else is
Yeah.
finished, stick them all in a bubble, the international players, and only them. So
Yeah.
this is what happens. This is what happens when bright minds like us are ranting on a
we should be
infinite
trending things, is
podcast.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we should be
we
at the
get
head of
things
FIFA
done,
and
mate.
UEFA.
We'd soon sort out the game. I'm telling you. Give you
And
10
then there
minutes.
is controversy with VAR.
Get rid of that Infantino. Put me in charge. We'll soon fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seems a strange thing, though, doesn't it? Playing away in this climate now, it's just wrong.
Yeah, travelling around Europe like when there's a pandemic that's being passed along by people travelling just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's really bizarre. And it's not even like they couldn't have foreseen the problems coming when they before the season started, is it? It's not like, and they had a blueprint there, like Deep says. Yeah, you've got a blueprint there of the one-off games at the end of the season last season. I just don't understand what they were thinking.
I just had a text here that Everton got Man City in the next round. I don't know how true that is. But if they are, we're going to have.
Let's hope it's as good as the Spurs game, if so. And this time I stay awake to watch it as well. The only thing I saw in that game was, like, I woke up at one point and Tom Davies played this beautiful ball out to the left wing, split the defence apart, and I thought, wow, what about... Literally, that's all I was so tired. And so my takeaway from that is Tom Davies must have been man of the match, because the only thing I saw was one pass by him.
He was actually man of the match. I thought he was man of the match.
See, so
I didn't give it to Gilby in the end, but I think that for me it would be Tom Davies.
Yeah, that was the only thing I saw. It's got to be Tom Davies. So, should we move on to... Are we going to talk about the salary cap being blocked in League 1 and League 2?
Yeah, it's important, yeah.
Deeps, you got anything to add on that one? Before we...
I have nothing to say.
Well, do you think a salary cap long term is a good thing, like? Would you be in favour of it? For the top end, I mean.
Yeah, I think like I don't know for sure, but I think they have a similar thing in Spain as well. You should have a certain percentage of what you bring in.
Yes.
If you bring in, let's say, 1 billion, then you can spend 700 million or 800 million or however much.
Yeah.
If you bring in 100 million, then it should only be, let's say, 70, 80, however percent. I think that is a sensible way to go. And if this current situation doesn't open up people's minds to the possibilities, when things go too far high with all these the money flying around, then sooner or later the whole system is going to collapse miserably.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they have to do it like they're going to have to do something like the US sports do. You know.
Yeah, maybe you can bring in even, let's say, one or two players as an exemption to the rule.
Hmm. Well, they have like
If
max deals, and it's not like however many. You're not paying X amount now, are you? In you know US sports like basketball and that, they have a cap where that's how much your club can spend. Anything you spend over that, you have to, on salary. I mean, but it's overall salary across your entire team, like rather than just how much you can pay a player. So some players get paid lots more, some players get paid the minimum, like. But if you spend over that, you have a luxury tax to pay. So you have to pay
Yeah.
X
yeah,
amount. So you can
yeah, I
still
think
pay
MLS
more
has,
if you're a richer club, but you're just having to and that luxury tax, as far as I'm aware, goes towards funding those teams that have less. Get split between the rest of the
yeah,
teams that aren't
grassroots.
paying it.
I think it goes to the whole system, whole grassroots of the game. I think there's a similar thing in MLS as well. Like you have a certain salary cap for the whole team, and then you can have one or two designated players.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's got to be something that can be done, surely, because it's not long term. It's just not going to last the game if we carry on allowing teams to spend what they like. Just can't. You only got to look at what happened
So
to
who's the
Barcelona.
next? Is it League One and Two or
Yeah.
Championship and League
No,
One?
League One and League
The cap.
Two. They were going to have a
League One, League
$1.5 million cap in League Two for their entire salary budget, and League One had $2.5 million was the plan, but they've cancelled it now because of the PFA stepped in and said we can't have that because our players won't be able to earn billions of pounds. It's League One and Two. They weren't going to be able to earn. It wasn't. It's ridiculous. They're saying it's not legal or enforceable. Well, no, it's not. It doesn't have to be if the players agree. Like in America, they sign a CBA. A collective bargaining agreement between the players
Yeah.
and the league. That's what needs to come in everywhere. Needs to, because otherwise they're just going to go bankrupt. Huge amounts of money.
Yeah, I think what they are saying by disagreeing with the proposal is we want to buy our way to a promotion. What if you fail though?
Yeah, but it's not the teams that disagreed with it. It was the PFA. They blocked it. The players, the players' union.
Yeah, they're idiots.
They only care about making more money for their players, don't they? They don't care about what's best for the game, and that's the sad thing. It's all about money with them
They
as
don't
well.
even care. They don't even care about what's best for the players. Actually,
I agree, because there'll be less jobs if clubs start going under. There'll be less teams able to pay, so there'll be less jobs
exactly.
there. So there'll be less players in their union paying subscriptions.
Yeah.
It really makes no sense. I understand them not
How-
wanting like a maximum wage like used to be in. I'm fully behind that. There shouldn't be a maximum wage. There should be a minimum wage, but not a maximum. But you have to have an overall cap on a team. Have to.
Yeah. But how will it affect the contracts of if you try to bring it into the top two tiers? How would it affect the contracts that people have already got 5-6 year contracts where the money is set on the higher paid players?
I would assume that what they'd have to do is use them as exempt until they run out. But any new contract they sign would have to come under the agreement. I
Right.
assume. That's the only way I can see of it working.
Yeah, because people have just signed big contracts, haven't they? And
To be
they'd be legally binding, wouldn't they, for at least the 5 years that runs or whatever.
But to be fair, they weren't planning on bringing it in like, we're making this decision and putting it in. They were planning on putting it in a year or two ahead. So any team that's signing a contract would know that there's a possibility of a cap coming in when they're agreeing the new one. So it's not like they wouldn't have a chance to sort things out. But yeah, you'd have to just make them exempt until the end, until they run out, wouldn't you? or they sign a new
Yeah.
deal.
Exactly. Even if a player signed a 5-year deal at the start of this season, after 5 years you can see whether the player is now after the 5-year period when he signs a new contract, whatever, whether he complies with the new rule or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The next one, they just have to comply with it then.
By the way, Deeps, Man United got Leicester,
Leicester, yeah. Chelsea,
and we got Man City at home.
Oh, that's too good. That sounds like two good games, actually.
Yeah,
Shame
yeah.
there's
our
no
game.
crowd.
You think our game is gonna be good?
Yeah.
Which,
No, actually, when you think about it, because neither. I don't know. Leicester aren't too bad to watch at times, but yeah,
They're not a great watch either.
they're not a great watch, but they're not a bad watch. But it depends on who they're playing, doesn't it? If the other
Yeah,
teams,
they're a bit of a destroyer.
if they, what they're good at is if they're playing against a team like say Man City or Liverpool that will go at them, because then they'll be constantly hitting on the break. But if they're playing against a team like Man United who also want to hit on the break, it could tend to be it could be just two teams sat back passing to each other. No, you have it. You attack us. Come on. Couldn't it? Yeah, you're right. I hadn't really thought that through when I was saying it sounded good. Good point, Deeps.
No, you're right. It sounds good, but it isn't good.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, when you
reality
think about it,
isn't
I mean,
good.
you're right. When you think about it, it's just not good. On paper, it's good, but yeah. God, I hate to say
I don't know who
it.
Liverpool got, by the way.
Like,
Oh, I never heard that who Liverpool got, Deeps.
Fuck off.
no, I can't find it.
Fuck off. Fuck off. Arsehole. We were too good. We didn't want the FA Cup. It's rubbish anyway. It's dead. Nobody cares
Yeah,
about the FA
of course
Cup
it is,
anymore. Bastard. We need to get different editors on this freaking podcast from YouTube. It's time for a change.
Absolutely.
And anyone who says anything bad about Liverpool, just ban them.
Yeah, it should be. That's the way it should be.
Okay, the way it's
Then you would have
going,
nobody.
it'd be banning myself. God.
Yeah, even your own supporters are
Yeah.
dissatisfied and saying bad word about everyone.
Oh, the moaning minis at the moment, they're so spoiled. I mean, they don't even take it. It's when they say, oh, you can't keep blaming it, you can't keep saying the bad results are down to not having any defenders in the team. Well, yeah, you can, because, that is still affecting it. Yeah.
Yeah, my point is I've seen same people saying last year City lost Laporte, so Liverpool's achievement isn't as big. And now
Yeah.
we're again going back to the same point, but still be consistent. Be consistent with your opinion.
No, they never are, Deeps. They just want to moan. That's what it is. They just want to find excuses to moan, mate.
Yeah.
It's any excuse. They can never just be satisfied with what's happening and just be grateful for what they get. They want more. Always more.
And I can also give you another perspective if you don't believe in injury.
Uh-oh.
Then City had two outstanding years. Third year they tailed off. Liverpool had two outstanding years. This is the third year. Maybe 3 years on the bounce is a bit hard for even the greatest of managers and brilliant of players. Maybe that is also another outlook. But now everybody is like, the whole world is burning down. Whole world is burning down.
It's very rare teams win consistently unless they've literally got no competition, like when Lyon were winning it always in France and now PSG. And Juventus in Italy. And the minute they have a challenger, they tend to, there tends to always be a year or two when the other team comes in, takes it, wins a couple of championships, and then drops off again, and it goes back to whoever's the richest team in the league. That's just what happens. It's the way it is.
Yeah.
Even under the great Sir Alex Ferguson, we never had 5, 6, 7 years of dominance. Even with the money with the greater academy, greater players, whatever you want to say. It's not easy to consistently just keep on winning. Sometimes maybe it's luck. Sometimes it's just poor planning, whatever. But come on, accept it and move on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, personally, I'm just happy that we're still in the top four at the way we, with the loss of those three. I expected us to be struggling in mid-table this season. I really did.
Yeah, like I say with Billy, isn't it quite sad indictment that even when if you go to the Liverpool place, you think the whole world is collapsing.
Yeah,
They're 20th in the league and they're even below Sheffield United, whatever, and still they win 2 games and they're gonna be second in the league.
Exactly. We're not far off when you consider what the state, what's happened. Just be happy with it. It should just be one of those seasons anyway. Before the season started, I was saying this as well.
yeah.
It's one of those
It
seasons
was going to
where
be.
it's going to be a mess, and whatever happens, you're just going to have to accept it because it could be anyone that win it. This could be another Leicester year. You know what I mean? Anyone could have won this year. Always just a bit of luck. That could, one team was going to have bad luck like we've had, and that was it. You're out of the running. It's that simple. I think it's quite exciting myself, to be honest. That it's a bit of a, that that you get.
Yeah, there's been some good teams performances, the likes of Aston Villa when they beat Liverpool. I'm not sure putting that out, by the way.
All right, Bill, come on. Can you find someone else?
Aston Villa also beat Arsenal.
Yeah, I don't think that really counts because they're probably, you'd expect Villa to beat Arsenal, to be fair. Which reminds me, while we're on the subject of Arsenal, what the hell was Arteta doing with Saliba, sorry?
Yeah. That was a surprise.
First month at Nice, he wouldn't play him at all. According to Saliba, he said he had one look at him in a match, and that, in a friendly, when he'd not been able to train for ages because of the COVID and that. He'd not been able to train, yet he had one look at him in his first. He's only had like a few minutes training, so to speak, and he's decided, I don't fancy him. And that's it. He never got another look in, and then farms him out on loan in January. And the first thing he does is win Player of the Month.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. I mean, he was better than.
He looked a special player.
Yeah, he was better than Fofana last season, and we've seen how good he is.
Yeah, he was really good last season, and even now he doesn't play for a year, almost a year. We have to remember that League On got cancelled early on.
Exactly, that's what I mean. It wasn't like he was playing regularly up until the thing. He was miles off fitness. So I just don't understand what Arteta was thinking. He obviously wouldn't give him a chance, and yet he'd play Mustafi or Luiz, and you're thinking, come on.
Well, he's not represented by Kia.
Yeah, that's true, but that's Ed who's doing that, isn't it? So that must be the problem. Just seems odd because sometimes you think when you're a manager, your job is to you should want them to change your mind. Yeah. The wife's there. The boss is in. Quick, say nothing. The wife's in. Don't want to get into trouble.
So sorry. Go on. Sorry, mate. That was me. That's
I know the wife was in. The boss is in to tell you you're in trouble.
I know someone there in the house.
Past your bedtime. Get your cocoa, get to bed, Billy. Come on, it's past your bedtime.
No, I'll have to.
Must be about 8 o'clock there.
She was just in to check whether he was crying because they drew with City.
Yeah.
In the cup.
She was saying, take your suit back. For
Yeah,
Wembley.
your cup final suit. You won't need
You
it.
got City.
Oh, bless. She probably didn't even know, did she? I bet.
No, absolutely not. Wouldn't have a clue.
She just came in to see if Coronation Street had started yet or something.
She's taped it for me. Sorry.
I see. Do you actually watch it out of choice then? Because I thought you just watched it because she forced you to. Because she said.
No, I love it. Corrie and Emmerdale are great. You've got to watch them.
Oh, bless
It's
you.
real life. It's a mirror of real life.
I'm sure it isn't. Not in the real world. Oh, God bless you.
It's better than after football at the moment.
Yeah, that's probably true, to be fair. It's really not saying much, though, is it?
No, it's very strange times we're living in, isn't it?
Which reminds me, while we're talking about French football, we might as well talk about one of your ex-managers. I know he's not actually in French football, but his spat with Rudy Garcia, the Lyon manager. I think you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Big Ronnie, yeah.
Yeah, your favourite manager, weren't he? Because he did so much for Everton in the community, didn't he, old Ronnie Koeman?
He did, yeah.
Yeah. Did he ever actually do anything for them? Because
absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, one of your workers, like for in the community, who works for, I can't remember the housing thing that you've got going, was saying that he refused point blank to do anything. Not just that he didn't bother. It was that he actually told them outright that he wouldn't do them, rather than he just, I'm a bit busy, I made excuses. He just said outright, no, fuck off, basically, when he signed his contract. Yeah. He had it written in and he didn't have to.
He's done nothing for Everton in the community. Is a big thing for Everton, It's, they do fantastic work. And he had nothing to do with anything. I don't know whether he actually stopped players getting involved, because the young lads used to have to camp out on the pitch.
Yes, that's right.
Nights for the homeless, in sympathy with the homeless of having to sleep out in the cold and all. And he had nothing to do with any of that. And the players used to go around the hospitals. Well, they still do actually. Well, they do now. But they were going around all the hospitals, visiting the elderly, and all the younger players, the under 23s, they have to, as part of their contract, do work for the community, going to drug rehabilitation centres, old people's homes.
To be fair, having seen your record with youth players like what's his name, Baxter and George Green and that, they're probably in the rehab centres for rehab, actually, Cadamarti and all that, they've all had a string of them, haven't you?
Yeah, we have had a few, yeah.
What's going on there, considering?
Billy Kennedy, what a fantastic player he would have been, but they blow it, don't they?
I know, idiots. So anyway, the Rudy Garcia Koeman spat. Anyway, we haven't actually talked about that because Koeman spent this, has been the last few weeks having a go at wanting to sign, having a go at PSG for wanting to sign. Who was it they were after? Messi. That's it. In the summer on a free. He's been moaning about them, keep talking about him. And obviously then Garcia's turned around and said, hang on, you spent all last summer telling everyone, all in sundry, how you wanted to sign Depay from us. Talk about the podcast. I think he called him a hypocritical bastard. No, that was me. Sorry, no. What was it he called? And he said a few things, like he kept pointing it out repeatedly. I mean, this is in a number of interviews he's said about it now.
Yeah. That's true, and he's not very well liked.
No, he's a bit of an arsehole though, isn't he? Arrogant.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he acts exactly arrogance.
Yeah, he's not that arrogance of someone who's great who just knows they're great. He's got that arrogance of he thinks he's the greatest thing in the world, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a lot of people didn't like him at Everton Football Club, that's for sure.
No, a lot of people didn't like him at Southampton as well, you know.
Didn't you know?
No,
I
because
didn't know
I
that.
remember telling you that when you were interested in signing him. I said I could see it all ending in tears because he's a bit of an arrogant. I think I used a word I shouldn't use on here though. But let's put it this way: he was named as something similar to what we call the podcast. See you next Thursday. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what I was told he was when I asked someone at Southampton about him. That was the only word they said.
Yeah, see you next Thursday.
Yeah, they were quite glad to get rid of him, by all accounts. Which is surprising because they were doing really well under him at the time as well.
Yeah, they were, yeah. But you can do people without that in football, can't you?
Yeah, but they had really good players when he was there.
True. But yeah, he still has to get them organised and playing well. I mean, he seems to be starting to make inroads at Barca as well, unfortunately. As much as I'd love to see him fail miserably.
Yeah, but he lost last night as well. Barcelona lost.
Did he? Oh, good. I mean, oh no. What a shame. I certainly wouldn't mind seeing them struggle, Barca. But they can't exactly buy their way out of trouble now, so it'd be nice to see what they have to do.
They're gonna save $500 million by just getting rid of Messi. They're gonna be rich very soon.
More than $500 million. It's 800,000 a week.
Yeah, more than $500 million because wasn't his contract worth something like £492 million?
You know what that is? That's how much we should charge you for being on here.
That's how much you owe me.
Which his contract being €225 million.
Yeah.
Is the new contract is just that's obscene amount of money, isn't it? I know he's a good player, that, but 25 million or something like that it is for the next 5 or 6 years, whatever he's done.
For whom?
That's an amazing amount of money.
I know, it's nearly as much as you earn, isn't it, Bill?
No, not quite.
Could you imagine being paid that, eh? I tell you what, if you got paid that much this Valentine's Day, you'd even give your missus 24 roses instead of just letting her have one out the tin, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what do they do with that sort of money? It'd be amazing to have, wouldn't it?
The thing is, he's not exactly. It's not like he's putting huge amounts into charity or anything. He doesn't. I don't know what he does with it. It's quite an odd one, him.
It does seem strange.
Who, Messi?
Yeah.
Maybe he does charity, but we're not aware of it. Maybe.
He does a bit. He does a bit of charity, yeah, but it doesn't seem. It's not like I'm talking about. Like he doesn't give like the huge amounts that some others do on the slide. You know, even on the quiet. There's quite a few that do it on the quiet, like Ozil. Never, nobody ever seemed to take notice of the fact that he was paying over his wages to charity and that. Messi doesn't seem, from what I can find out, doesn't seem to be given anything more than just a token amount. You know, when something shows up. Is the boss back?
I like what Mata brought out when he brought out that give 1% of your wages. He asked all the footballers to do it. I'm not sure how many took him up.
Yeah, Klopp's involved in
that. 1%.
Klopp
was it? Yeah.
Yeah, Klopp's in that, and a load of others. Nagelsmann does it. Quite a few do it.
I think Robertson is. I think
Robertson. Yeah, there's quite a few involved in that, but it doesn't. It sounds like a lot until you realise that Ozil was giving over 50% of his salary away to charity every year.
Yeah.
It suddenly starts putting it into perspective. 1% is peanuts, and they should all be forced to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. Even it's peanuts, and even then there are more than 90% of footballers who are not even trying to commit themselves to 1%, let alone 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're a Muslim, they should anyway automatically because it's it's one of the I don't know if the word scriptures, but you have to give away.
Yeah.
You have to help those less fortunate as part of it. Especially I mean, you only have to look at out here. You see the donation boxes by the you get them by the tills even.
Yeah.
When you go to a supermarket, you get like a donation tin by the. Well, when it's not Ramadan, Ramadan. They have these, and you see the amount of money in them. You think, geez, that's more than I've earned in my lifetime in one of them. Just they're putting huge sums into them, and you think the amount they throw into them is amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe we should set one up for ourselves. We should set one up for ourselves.
Well, you'd be the one putting money into it, because I think you should put in it.
No. What I'm saying is, we should put one up for ourselves.
Oh yeah,
one for.
What do you mean, buddy? You're rich, and you're going to be a doctor, and you're going to be earning more than either of us soon.
No.
And you're going to be like Doctor Strange. Well, you're certainly bloody strange. Isn't that what you're doing, doctoring?
No.
Oh, what are you doing then? Who was I talking to that was studying to be a doctor then? If it wasn't you.
Well, it certainly wasn't me.
yeah. Don't worry, Bill. What are you studying then, Deeps? Oh right. Oh God, you're the same as us too. We've both done done. Oh well, no, not agriculture. No, I was wrong. I misread that as horticulture. Yeah, okay. Charlie Boy's done similar, so he makes a fortune out of his, Prince Charles. So
Yeah.
But he's a prince.
it's just making excuses. You can still be rich, mate. You just have to do it right. So what we moving on? What's the last one now we're on to? So about Coutinho, and you know this one, Deep. This one's for you, mate. I'll let you tell this one.
Go on, Deep.
One of the Barca affiliated media publication, whatever, they ran a poll amongst the Barca faithfuls among the three players who were brought in for excess of 100 million. Who would you want to sell the most? Coutinho, Dembele, or Griezmann? And Coutinho is so popular with the Barcelona fans that he got an overwhelming majority of votes that said they wanted rid of him from the club right here, right now, as soon as possible. I think it was something like 82%.
82.4.
That is the majority even Trump can't bargain with.
Yeah. Even Trump wouldn't claim that that's a discount, would he? Well, maybe. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, he hasn't set no hours on the right there, has he?
But then Dembele's constantly injured, and Griezmann's just not played well until recently. So it's a bit of a surprise that that it was so overwhelmingly in favour of him.
Maybe it's because he contributed to their 8-2 loss.
Maybe, yeah, actually. I was thinking it might just be like the poll. If we put up which of us three do you want to get rid of, it'd be the end of Deeps if we did that. No, nobody would vote for me. Nobody would vote for me on there because I can control it. Remember, I'm at the other end of it. So every vote for me would count as double for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, Philip hasn't had the greatest of times, though, has he? I thought he was a bad buy for them anyway, but I don't think he ever done enough on the pitch for Coutinho.
No.
He had great little moments in games, and bit of a showboater.
Yeah.
But he never done it on a regular basis, did he?
Very much so. That's exactly what my problem is with Foden against us. It was similar sort of thing where he looks good rather than he is good. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, a lot. He just wastes a lot of chances by just taking on a shot instead of trying to see what's around him.
Yeah, it's lovely when it comes off, but it doesn't come off all that often, does it?
Yeah, you can have 5 great goals in a season, but other 33 games you're going to be shit.
Yeah, that's the point, dude.
It used to really frustrate me with him, watching him. Oh, he just knew what he was going to do. Shifted onto his right foot and have a dig. Have he got anywhere within 30 yards of the goal?
He was anonymous in a lot of games, wasn't he? And I thought Liverpool got a great deal for him, like great deal of money for him.
Well, we should have got a great deal of money, but they sold the bloody debt on, didn't they?
Yeah, I believe so. I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, sold the debt on. So we don't. They keep saying in newspapers and that Barcelona still owe the debt to Liverpool. X amount to Liverpool. I think it's 48 million still to Liverpool. They don't. They don't owe anything to Liverpool. They owe it to somebody whoever's a debt collection agency or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was strange.
Transfers are weird, aren't they?
Transfers
are weird. How money is paid around from one to another and everything.
Yeah, I don't think it should be allowed to sell these debts on in football. They do it a lot. Teams do it a lot, and I don't think it should be. I'm personally not keen on it. I know people want to get the money in quick, but I think you should just, cope with what you've got. If that's the deal you've agreed to, that's the deal you have to abide by.
Yeah, and if you're so unhappy with how you don't like money being paid in installment and everything, then just agree to a release clause, and then that, I think, essentially solves the issue. You pay the amount in full, you get the player. You don't, the clause doesn't exist for you then. Isn't it how the clauses work?
Yeah, it just seems a bit dodgy when you start getting when you're getting third parties involved. It's a bit like when Abid popped into this this podcast. It's a bit dodgy when he's around, isn't it? It's that extra man involved. It's just too much, really.
Yeah.
So anyway, any ladies listening, if they want to take Deeps on a date on Valentine's Day, he's available. And any other day for that matter.
Billy is not available.
Sorry?
Billy is not available.
Billy's not available. His missus says that with no hesitation. She says he's not available because she needs someone to cook and clean after her.
And do the decorating.
Yeah, exactly. Particularly the decorating, yeah. So unless someone can replace him as a decorator, he's stuck there.
Yeah.
It's only
but I'd gladly move aside and you can get a decorator in.
when you retired, that's why you went back to work, weren't you? You were retired a few months back.
Yeah.
He was back at work again after a couple of weeks because you wouldn't stop giving him decorating.
If I found out a decorator, I'd cover him up in case he got cold.
He said he couldn't afford to be retired because it cost him too much in paint and brushes.
Yeah. I hate decorating. I really do.
You might want to tell her that.
I'm sure she knows now.
Yeah.
I keep making excuses.
I'm sure she
doesn't
begin
get
with.
decorating that much as well.
Deeps, can you do decorating?
Nope.
Oh well, unlucky Bill.
You're no good to me then, dude.
Yeah, oh well. That's you out of this. You're last in this blind date then. Obviously the ladies listening will be picking between me and Billy then. So
Yeah. Good man.
it's not much of a choice, like, but
Is it all no?
yeah.
It's
Billy-
rock and a hard place.
No, it's not hard anymore, mate. Not at Billy's age. It's definitely not. That's the problem. Not for the last 20 years. He's now at the point where even going to the toilet becomes he has to do 3 times in a row to make sure he gets it all.
I just find it really unnerving that you know so much about it.
Well, you know, I have to listen to him telling me all these things on the editor's widget, mate. You're lucky. You don't know what we go through on there. You don't know the things they share on there. It's probably best to... Well, you just don't want to know about some of the other editors. Let's put it that way. Oh, some of the things you'd hear on there, mate, they'd make your hair curl. Even if you don't eat your crusts. And I bet he's got no idea what I mean by not eating his crusts, making his hair curl. I've just realised. Oh, God. Jeez, I bet you don't have that saying at all, do you, Deeps?
Nope.
No? Oh, God. So what puts hairs on your chest if you don't eat your crusts in Nepal?
No idea.
Oh, because we had to. That's the only reason we used to eat our crusts, isn't it, Bill? Get hairs on our chest when we were kids.
Make it hair curling, yeah?
Yeah.
Make it hair curling.
It's very clever stuff, the crust on bread, I tell you.
It is, yeah.
Anyway,
Talking of which,
I think we should call it there because Billy needs to get his tea and toast and cocoa or
I've
whatever.
got to have my tea and toast, you know that, Chris, you know that.
It's gone 8 o'clock. It's nearly.
Listen, boys, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great catching up
It's
with
20
you.
to 9, actually. Yeah, past 8. Yeah, thanks, boys. I will catch you on the site or at the next podcast.
Right, take care, Billy. See you next Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. Ta-da, Deeps. Ta-da, Chris.
Don't stop waving, Deeps. You have to say goodbye.
Yeah, I said goodbye.